Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major 1 has officially concluded. A champion has been crowned, and what a final day of action we had. A phenomenal weekend of Call of Duty. Love to be back in business in a LAN environment. We have so many fantastic series to dive into today. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would really appreciate it. As with the YouTube outcome, let's just crack right on. There's so many topics honestly to discuss in the coming days as a result of this tournament. That's just how we like it. But 4 teams remained going into the championship Sunday. The first game was actually in the winner's side, OpTic versus the London Royal Ravens. And well, yeah, these were the 4 teams remaining. Outside of Toronto weren't pictured here, Mayfield and Merck were pictured here instead. But the OpTic guys, FaZe of course, still there in the lower bracket. London Royal Ravens looking to give OpTic a good go in the upper side. This game was pretty interesting, right? Tim the Tapman came out first of all with the go. He was doing his best to jinx Scump. We'll talk of course about the grand finals right at the end of the video. But before we get to that point, we have to discuss Royal Ravens versus Texas. This was a fantastic series, to be honest. Very interesting first up though, that well, OpTic decided to veto Gavitu as opposed to Berlin. Like, OpTic don't generally like Berlin hardpoint, it seems. Ravens are very good at it. I was surprised this got through the vetoes, and actually the analyst from Ravens was reaching out to me saying, hey, hang on a second, we thought Gavitu was going to be first map, and they let us have our Berlin. Like, we're going to take that and run with it most certainly all the way to the bank. The championship Sunday, whites were coming out here, of course, for the OpTic guys. Like, well, you didn't see that all that often last year, to be honest, right? They had a difficult time, failed to make a load of grand finals the entirety of last season. OpTic Chicago never made a grand final. Certainly a different story today. But yeah, that first game, as I was describing, just London are really good at this map, to be honest, and Zero, to his credit. Like, people came into this weekend thinking, okay, Zero, like, he's basically just there to be the accuracy of this team. He's going to drop decent numbers when he needs to, but it's generally the other guys that he's going to enable. He's going to be the glue to the team, the leader, the veteran who's been around for many years. But this weekend, he honestly was kind of the star of the show at times. Certainly one of the best ARs in the game, no doubt about it right now. Shots, he has a bit of a stinker map 1 as well, but OpTic turned things around very quickly. This is what just is so different, right, about this OpTic team compared to previous lineups. That, I mean, last year, like, it was so often they'd go down 1-0, they'd crumble, they'd collapse to some degree. This game too, they completely forget about the game 1, come into Berlin, and just play perfect Call of Duty for pretty much 3 maps straight. This 1v2 for Millie was fantastic, actually a 1 versus 3, gets the first kill, I mean, gets the second as well, picks it up with the pistol, gets the guy off the bomb, like, and that 1v3 really set the tone. As soon as this happens, like, the reaction to this was great as well for the Ellie side. It was like, yeah, I clutched those, no problem at all. Like, as soon as this happened, he felt like the tide was changing in OpTic's direction, and they did not slow down at all. Like, I don't think Ravens played particularly badly, to be honest, these couple of maps. OpTic just, again, played perfect search and destroy right here. They win this game at 6-0, like, just dominated. Dashy goes like 9-1 or something, like he had a 9 KD in the search and destroy right here. Then they go to the control, and despite London putting up a good fight in the round 1, they could have won that one. It's then Shotzzy that just comes alive, and yeah, they win their offense right here. Of course, when you win an offense on Gavitu, that is usually enough, especially if round 1 and round 3 were both defense. They closed it up 3-0, so London failed to win a round in 2 maps of gameplay in the search and destroy and then the control. They thankfully did get a point on the board in the hard point, but even that one was pretty comfortable in the end. It goes 3-1. Job ain't finished, OpTic say. But yeah, this was just so impressive, right? Because London, a very solid team. Honestly, I think out of this weekend, a lot of people are going to say, and understandably so, it seems like OpTic and FaZe are kind of a tier above of the rest of the teams in this league right now. But London was certainly this weekend's the team that fought both of those teams the closest. Of course, we'll talk about the FaZe series here in a second. But yeah, it goes to Tuscan hardpoint, and it's OpTic that get the job done. 251-71. They move on to the grand finals here in a 3-1 situation, and Dashy again with a 1.55. He entered the grand finals here with a 1.44 KD over the course of this tournament. That's IW formal levels. He was killing it. Zero had a great series as well. The other star players on the London side not really performing up to their levels, but I mean, still, I think they did great to even get to this point in the tournament. A very new team, of course, in London. Top 3 is not bad at all for their first kind of proper major event. Of course, in the lower side, though, Toronto and Atlanta FaZe were still trying to make a run. As Octane says, if Toronto make it to top 3 without winning a hardpoint, I'll swallow my controller whole on stream, because at this point, they were 0-6 in hardpoint. They end this series 0-7, and as Octane says, you know, you'll miss out because it doesn't end up going their way. Game 1 goes the way of Atlanta FaZe. Honestly, this was like one of the more convincing series of Sin of the weekends. Kind of surprising, really, because Toronto last year, they would generally lose to FaZe, but they would usually put up a fair bit of a fight, and it didn't really sound like they were having a good time, right? In the listen-ins, they seemed awfully frustrated, and yeah, they weren't really on their game, to be honest. And well, honestly, we've seen that for the last few weeks here, but in fairness, Ultra have some way of not playing anywhere near their best COD and still coming out of the weekend with a top 4 placing, which is far from bad at all, but FaZe were just a cut above this series. Arcitys was honestly the star of the show in this one. He had some crazy engagements on the main AR. That's what makes him so impressive. Like, that's why I feel like a lot of the main ARs right now, the kind of more traditional, slower ARs are kind of struggling, whereas guys like Dashy and guys like Arcitys that can play at a great pace, they're actually having a pretty good time on this game right now, because your AR can't really be too static in this title, and well, we certainly saw that this series. 2 maps down, 1 to go. They romp through the Search and Destroy and Desert Siege 6-1. They play it again up against the Ravens here in their next series. Doesn't quite go to plan in that one, but then we go on to the game 3, and they they get the job done as well right here on the Tuscan control. So yes, a dominant series victory for FaZe. This is exactly what they wanted, right? Because at the end of the day, often what can happen in these really long days when you're making these losers runs is that, like, you get really hot starting from the losers bracket, but at the same time, like, towards the end of the day, that kind of momentum can tail off, right? You get tired. Like, when you play Call of Duty for so many hours in a row at a long grand final, if it goes to that point, then you're going to get tired and you're going to start to fall off. You need to try and, if you can, make these early series quick and comfortable so you don't get to that point down the road. You don't want to win like 2 game 5 out of 11 gruelers and then still have to play a best of 9 grand finals after that. So FaZe did exactly what they needed to do this series. As Cammy says, GG's FaZe, embarrassing series, we must finish 4th. It's a long year. We have a lot to learn. Certainly true for Toronto. As I said, I called it going into this weekend's. London would come out being considered the better European team. Signed, sealed, and delivered as far as I'm concerned. This was the final score, but I mean, RC's killed it in the damage department. He had the most engagements in the lobby as the main AR. Pretty insane, to be honest. But they played another series right after that, up against the London Royal Ravens. London honestly really impressed me this tourney. Yes, there were some series and some misplays that the guys made that maybe they wouldn't do on another occasion. Of course, like a LAN environment, right, like this in front of a massive audience is going to have some impact, I guess, on some of these players that are new to this type of situation. I think with time, these guys will only improve, and this game too was an example of what they're capable of, because after game 1 and they go down 5-1 on this Desert Siege, you really feel like, okay, this is another just stomping from FaZe. They're going to roll through this without a care in the world. But London bring it all the way back from 5-1 to 5-5 and win the round 11. You don't see FaZe often choke search and destroys like this. It's testament to the resilience of both London going down 5-1 and still actually having the faith and the belief they can come back and win the map, but also to FaZe for kind of shrugging this one off and going into the game 3 and actually winning that one as well. Now this game 3 was very intense because FaZe went up 2-0 and then London won a crazy offense to make it 2-2, and they should, if anything, well, you can argue they could have done a better job in the round 5. Like, there were some crazy moments. They got 4 dead right towards the end. There was like 10 seconds on the clock over at point B, and London just got 4 dead on FaZe, and like there was basically no time at all. If any of the London guys die, they're going to spawn way out, and then FaZe just break in and get a 4-piece themselves. So that's kind of how it goes sometimes with the way London play the game in general. They'll come through and just smoke the opposition. But FaZe did it right back to them to win this game too, and they close out the Garrett 2 hardpoint as well. So yes, FaZe, this is kind of what we expected, right? To come in here, to dominate the lower bracket, only losing 1 map out of the 6 that they played, and go into the grand finals with well, honestly, if anything, an advantage, right, in theory, because yes, they get to come in relatively well warmed up from the lower bracket. OpTic are sitting there twiddling their thumbs behind the stage, but as Trey says, that being 0, GG's to OpTic and FaZe, honestly happy with how we played for some onliners. That's the thing a lot of people were saying before the tourney. These guys are not going to be able to replicate it on LAN. They certainly proved a lot of people wrong, I think, this weekend. Behind OpTic and FaZe, they seem to be the team that competed best with both of those lineups. Some good composure, great comebacks from us, until next time, Zero says. So excited to see the future of this lineup. Like, yes, it's certainly true that some of the performances from Narcy, Gizmo, and the like weren't quite as good as they were performing online, but I think that those kind of inconsistencies will iron out over time, and we could have a new contender this year in the London Royal Ravens. I certainly think we do, based on the performance they showed this weekend. But Cellium just has a casual 88 in 59 for 1.5 KD heading into the grand finals, and what a grand finals indeed it would turn out to be. 2 Titans collide, OpTic Texas versus Atlanta FaZe, just how it was meant to be honest. The storylines just do write themselves. The last time OpTic came from the winners bracket to play FaZe in the finals on LAN, all the way back at Stage 1 playoffs back in 2018, I guess, in World War II. And well, if you guys know how this one ended, you guys know how it ended, I don't need to remind you. But this series did not finish how that one did for OpTic. What an incredible grand finals this was. I thought it might go down something like this, and it was just ridiculous. FaZe are so hard to beat, even though OpTic played a phenomenal series of Call of Duty. This was the vetoes as they came out. The Bacage hardpoint got banned by OpTic. They lost that in the series to FaZe before. I wondered if anything was going to happen on Desert Siege, but a relatively clean series outside of this Gather 2 control that we will certainly have to dive into. I said even before the series began, this feels like a different OpTic to what we've seen in previous events and even previous seasons, quite frankly. Scump and Dashy, the last time they made a grand finals together as OpTic was back in Vegas 2018, and of course they won it last time around. They managed to repeat the trick right here. Of course, they come out on the main stage. Their map one was very impressive, right? Given the fact that they didn't have an advantage going into this grand finals, FaZe came in theoretically hotter into this game 1. OpTic come out and get the ball rolling here on Gather 2. Very impressive stuff, to be honest, right? And as soon as this happened, you felt like OpTic were in the driving seat again, because FaZe have played such good Call of Duty the last several hours. For OpTic to come out here and get the job done like this, and especially Illy, right, with this just unbelievable 3-piece over towards the hardpoint, like he was just spinning. Like, honestly, this guy was, well, definitely the MVP of the Sunday, no doubt about that one at all. Like, out of control on this Sunday, probably the best I've seen him play on LAN in honestly a very long time, if not his entire career, quite honestly. Like, this was a monster performance from Illy on the Championship Sunday. Certainly in this game when he was showing that off on all cylinders. Like, yeah, the end of this game as well goes OpTic's way. But then the search and destroys come through, and this so far has been the game mode where OpTic have been just so good. But FaZe seem to have everything going their way. Both maps up until the very final map of the series that they played in Search and Destroy definitely was, well, OpTic had an advantage at some point or another, and then they threw it away. So this game 1, it was 3-0 OpTic early on, they had a pretty nice advantage early on. They stretched their map round win streak, right? So they 6-0'd FaZe in the map 5. Then, of course, they played up against London earlier today, beat them 6-0. Then won the first 3 maps here. They were on a 15-round winning streak in Search and Destroy. That is pretty rare to see. But FaZe bounced back and win this in a round 11. Crazy round 11, to be honest. Like the crowd, like, I don't know. There were some pokers in the crowd, right, trying to call out when they were ninja fusing. I guess it's something that just happens. Hopefully they kick these bonkers out the venue, because it's just frustrating to see that everyone wants to win and lose fairly at the end of the day. You don't have to deal with these plebs trying to give stuff away and it will affect the competitive integrity of the game. If anything, aBeZy might be trying to abuse it, right? Because he kind of knows that they're going to get loud when he's defusing the bomb. I think he got off it and then hopped back on it as well. But anyway, FaZe get the job done here regardless. Then we go into this third map of the series, and this one was an absolutely ridiculous affair. Like, I'm not even sure how this happens, but well, it goes to round 5. And at this point, FaZe have an 18-5 life advantage. They play a phenomenal round 5. They get all the kills. Like, they completely outplayed OpTic, to be honest, in this round 5. But it was noticed towards actually the start of this clip right here that Arcitys was actually lagging on LAN. I'm sure we'll talk about this more in the coming days. But as you can see, Arcitys comes around the corner and effectively just skips and stands still. Now, of course, that's the only time we saw it from his POV. But I believe, like some other times in the game as well, he was having a difficult time because he tries to come off spawn here. And at this point, it's 5-18 in terms of lives. And like, credit due to OpTic, right? Because this was the screenshot I took. That in fairness, like they actually turtled up and played incredibly well on the defense. But like FaZe were just super stats because I think Arcitys was lagging. There was something going wrong there. And yeah, don't get me wrong, FaZe choked this. They probably should have won it anyway. But you know, they were probably talking to the referee that, okay, hang on a second, because there was even a timeout after the round 2 or something. Because Arcitys, I'm pretty sure, was having an issue there as well. So remarkable situation. But anyway, OpTic win this round 5 in the craziest, one of the craziest comebacks you're ever going to see in a round of control. Yes, there was the whole Arcitys issue. And then it gets replayed. They decide, okay, we're going to replay this round 5 actually instead. And they was like, okay, wow, this is an outrage, whatever. But I guess I get it from FaZe's perspective. The other issue, though, was that Scump had a glide bomb going into that final round. So were they going to bother with that? Were they going to deal with it? What I believe they ended up doing is putting OpTic on offense, gave him like some free kills to get the glide bomb, then just restarted the map and took it all the way down. And it was deja vu in the final round as well. And OpTic actually won this one comfortably. I'm not sure if Scump even needed the glide bomb in the end. So after a crazy hectic series or turn of events that, you know, talking about lagging on LAN and all this crazy stuff that I'm sure, as I say, we might discuss in the coming days, because it certainly was a thing. But anyway, OpTic win it regardless, much more comfortable this time round. That's the thing, if Arcitys didn't get that lag in that game, like, they probably win that round of the final offense, things could have been way different this series. But OpTic move up 2-1. They then, not too long after, move up 3-1 in the series. This is where iLLeY takes over. It is rare to see iLLeY just dominate respawns like this. When he's going 35 in 23 with 2 minutes in the hard point, OpTic are basically impossible to beat. Like, this is Shotzi right, the point to iLLeY. He knows he was the man. He played phenomenal this series. A 3-1 advantage was going to be hard to stop. But the thing is with FaZe, they might just be the hardest team ever to put away. Like, these guys, even if they're not playing their best Call of Duty, they're so difficult to get past, especially with how they were playing in Search and Destroy today. And this game 5 was just another example of that. It was a Tuscan Search and Destroy. OpTic had, I believe, a 3-1 or even a 4-2 advantage at one point that they rescinded, and FaZe ended up winning this game. I think it was a 3-1 advantage. They threw that one away. FaZe went, I believe, 6-4 or something. They take it 3-2, and they're keeping it close, right? And that's where things get very hectic indeed. Then, of course, we go to a control. This was a ridiculous Tuscan control. Again, it goes all defenses. This hopefully will change, right, when things change, right, and actually ticks count in terms of getting the final round defense. But, I mean, still, FaZe made a massive mistake. On the 4th round, they could have tried to go for it and capture the point and may have actually won it. They thought, I guess, they had the kill count to the point where they could actually get away with it, right, in terms of just getting the defense for the round 5. That was not the case at all. They did their maths completely wrong. OpTic get the final defense. They make a crazy hold, actually, as well. Like, OpTic made a fantastic hold towards here at the ends. Like, Scump got a nice little 2-piece and everything to hold the line. And, well, OpTic take this. They go up 4-2 in the series. And that pretty much gets the job done for them. Because it goes down to a Berlin Search and Destroy. And, like, the teams are making loads of mistakes on this final map. It was kind of crazy. It was so back and forth. OpTic would throw an advantage. Then FaZe would throw an advantage. And, like, it was crazy stuff. I mean, it's great to see the guys getting hyped right here. With their home major as well after all this time. OpTic get the job done. Like, yeah, commiserations to the FaZe guys. They played a great series. But OpTic were just the better team on the day. And it was crazy what happened in the final round as well. A 3 versus 4. Shotzi gets a wall bang. Like, the chemistry between these boys is amazing. It's just great to see. Like, the tournament that they had after all this time, right? The likes of Scump and Dashy, of course, breaks his, like, an 1100 plus day winning streak. And, you know, Scump back in business after all this time as well. Like, yeah, they were having a great time. The fans were having a great time. And this just seems like a different OpTic, right? They're kind of what Rambo and iLLeY, maybe to some degree as well, as instilled within this lineup. Just feels fantastic, and I'm sure it does for these guys as well, walking away with the championship victory. They take it down. That's going to do it. So much to discuss in the coming days, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit that like button. Tell us the YouTube gods this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.